Okay. All right, we are live. We are live right now. What's up? So what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava podcast. You guys already know my name is Will. I'm the host of this podcast. I am very excited today. I have a very special guest on the show. She's one of our Polynesian sisters all the way from the Bay Area. You know, I'm from the Bay, so you gotta represent. She is the founder of Fitness is Key. So I'm very excited to have her on the podcast. So if you guys are watching this for the first time, please, if you're watching this for the first time, please show some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And for everybody out there that's been watching and showing me some love and support, I love all you guys. Please keep supporting me. And of course, if you have any thoughts and any comments you wanna talk about, please drop some comments below. I will definitely love to hear your feedback. But let's get back to this podcast. I have a very special guest, and I'll let her introduce herself real quick. So go ahead.
Hey everyone, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on this podcast and for your time. I love the platform you've created for us. My name is Keanna Tofiga, and I'm 24 years old, born and raised in South San Francisco, California.
All right, South City.
South City.
All right, for sure. And like I said, thank you for taking the time. Very appreciate for your time to do this. Very excited to have you for this podcast. But let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So the very first question I'm going to ask you is, how did you grow up?
How did I grow up? All right. Well, you're from San Bruno, so you're probably more familiar with South City.
Yep.
For those that don't know South City, it's pretty much just the suburb right out of San Francisco. Pretty diverse. So I grew up with both my parents. So I lived with my dad and my grandma's household, so my grandparents, and that's my Samoan side. And then my mom also raised me, and she's Filipino. So they were really young when they had me. My mom was 16 and my dad was 18.
Gotcha.
So I've always had I always get the compliments like, oh, is that your sister? Is that your brother?
Yeah.
And if they're watching this, I'm sure their heads are just but so grew up in South City. I feel like if I had to be like completely honest, I definitely grew up more with my Samoan culture than my Filipino culture. So definitely grew up doing like fe'aus around the house all the time and being the only girl too. So at my grandma's house, it's just me and my brother that are the grandkids there. So of course, being the girl, I was the one running around. And at my mom's house, it was always like a very different environment, different vibe, I guess is the best way to describe it, not being Polynesian. So it was, I feel like I really got the best of both worlds when it came to growing up. But my parents also weren't together, so they were separated. I had the two different households. So I want to say it benefited me, but it also, it benefited me in the long run. But I think as a kid, it was kind of a struggle having to turn it on and turn it off, if that made sense. And it wasn't like I was at one house for 1 week and another house for another week. I was at my mom's like Monday, Thursday, every other weekend, at my dad's Tuesday, Wednesday, every other weekend. So to act in one manner and to act in another manner from day to day was a little difficult, but in the long run, I do feel like now that I'm an adult and I'm able to adapt to different environments and different people that I'm around, I think that, obviously it ended up okay. That's it for households. When I was really young, so again, my parents were young when they had me. By the time I was 5, both my parents kind of had their own different new relationships. So on my mom's side, now there's 6 of us. There's so many I can't even count.
That's normal for Polynesian families.
Yeah. So I was a kid child until I was about 5. On my dad's side, it's me, my younger brother, and then my stepsister. So there's 3 of us on dad's side. Mom's side, she married a Samoan, so that's why we still ended up with a big. My stepsister, me, my other stepsister, we actually adopted one of my best friends that I grew up with, and then we have the 2 young boys. So there's 6 of us. yeah, so that's kind of it for family and upbringing. Public school. My grandma went to South City High School. My dad went to South City High School.
Okay.
So I
So,
went to
so you
South
went South
City.
City High School.
Yeah. Um, Played a lot of sports, mainly basketball. That was my main sport. So did that,
Mhm.
like travel basketball, AAU. Tried to stay really busy when I was a kid. And
Mhm.
then it pretty much trickled on down to the youngest. My brothers now are in eighth grade in high school, the youngest ones, and they're still playing football and just very active. And I think that's where my passion for fitness kind of grew if I'm looking back
Yeah.
at it. So yeah, I think just looking at like primitive years, young Keanna, that's where it all started. Family is the big
It's
part. Yeah.
all good. So, I always feel like, I think I love what you said. Like, that's pretty much the beginning of why you got into fitness, right? So I always believe that, as we grow up, how we grow up as a child, it always kind of like it's gonna be a big reason why it's gonna circle back of who you're gonna become later on in life. So I want to ask you is, you grew up in different cultures, different dynamics, and you grew up, what was the hardest thing about, just looking back on the things you went through in your life, especially when you were younger.
Mhm.
What was like the hardest thing about growing up? Um, you say you grew up within your Samoan culture.
Mhm.
So what was it hard? What was I guess the great things that you learned as a child that kind of you look back now, that's a good thing. That's like you said, your fitness. That's a
Yeah.
positive thing.
Yeah.
But also, what were the things that you struggled with? Also, that you felt like growing up, there was something you struggled that kind of later on came back
Yeah.
to who you.
So culturally,
Yeah.
um, I think I think for a lot of us, like when we're in it, you don't
Hmm.
really see it.
Yeah.
And even
Really. Yeah.
now, as I'm just talking to you, I'm very analytical. So that's kind of it's getting
Yeah.
the wheels turning. Um, but I think the the sexism in our culture, I'm just gonna say it, was
Yeah.
just that I had to get over. Um, Again, being the only girl in the household, I was always the one helping my grandma cook, helping her clean. If my grandpa needed the remote and I was all the way upstairs, he's still gonna tell me to come downstairs and hand him the remote,
Yeah.
little things like that,
Yeah.
that as you're growing up, you just think that's the norm and that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Uh, and then as you get older and you have society telling you to be an independent woman and to, like, don't take no
Yeah.
shit. But then you live in such a household where
Yeah.
it's so patriarchal and it's like, how do I find my way into becoming a woman that I do know I want to be while also not being disrespectful?
Yeah.
Um, and then, so the funny part, I did say that my mom is Filipino, but because she was so young when she had me, when she herself was growing up, she looked up to my grandparents a lot because her dad wasn't around, and her mom was like a crazy workaholic. So
Hmm.
she provided for her family in that way. So
Okay.
as far as a one-on-one, like hands-on learning, I think
Hmm.
my mom learned a lot from my Samoan grandma.
Okay.
So, and then she ended up marrying a Samoan man. So I'd say, um, my dad's household with my grandparents was like an old school traditional way,
Yeah.
but a lot of it carried on to my mom's too, which, was like a younger generation still in that like old school patriarchal way.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um, so for me, I think my biggest struggle, yeah, is just figuring out the kind of woman I want to be while not letting go of my heritage and my culture because I have so much respect for the Samoan culture and for
Yeah.
Samoan women. And I think, we are so strong, right? But there's also that definition of what does strong mean to you? Like what is a strong woman? It's always that comparison, the woman who
Yeah.
spoken and, doesn't take any crap from other people. And then there's the Samoan woman who sacrifices so much so that her family is okay and so that her
Yeah.
husband is taken care of.
Yeah.
So I think that just defining who I am and the kind of woman I want to be has been um, one of the biggest struggles that I've taken from my childhood up until now.
Okay. So, I want to ask you, like, when did you realize, like, on what age did you realize, you know what? you realize what type of woman you wanted to become, and then when did you realize to understand, you know what, this how I'm growing up or whatever, or the culture is kind of like limiting me.
Yeah.
When did you start becoming aware of that? I'm more interested because I want to dive into this because
No.
because I know that's one of the conversations I always hear from a lot of Polynesians, from men and women, about the gender roles and that's placed upon men and women. And you said strong, and that's something that I always hear a lot, from especially from my guy friends. As Polynesian men, we expect to be our masculinity. We're supposed to be like masculine and be strong all the time. And for men, even for women as well, you guys expect to be strong mothers, but it's only like, for me, like, I feel like the definition, a culture has a definition of what strong is, and based on my perspective, what's strong, going to Polynesian, they call you a strong person if you're willing to carry the load for everybody. That's what they consider strong. Like if you do everything for everyone else except you carry the load for everyone else, you sacrifice for everyone else, you're considered, the pinnacle of what a strong Polynesian is. But the same time, every single Polynesian I've ever met that try to be strong, in my own personal life, they always had two personas. Like, they show that strong face in public, but in reality, they were suffering, because at the end of the day, as a human being, like, you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. All right. So I feel like that's one of the things within our culture is kind of like unhealthy and toxic. It's kind of like raising us to the point where we don't teach young Polynesians about self-love and self-help. And but I'll let that. But that's just my experience. But I want to go into that because I feel like a lot of people need to hear this, and I want to hear your perspective on it. So I'll let you continue on.
So just kind of going back on that, I think really, like, I mean, again, I'm only 24, so I didn't really actually get into like digging deep and working on my own emotional health until really this year. Like 2020 was a big year for me to just
oh wow
stuff, right? But again, just looking back now, as a kid, I was always so strong-willed. Like I was the annoying girl that always went for president, always needed like super preppy. I always got really good grades, super involved. And again, like always ran for all these like leadership roles, right? And tried to kind of mainly just be a leader. And then now that I look back at like how I acted at home, I never spoke out, and I praised myself on being the good kid.
Yeah, good girl.
The good girl. So whether something was right or wrong, I'm never gonna like speak up to anyone about it. I might like roll my eyes if they're not looking, but little stuff like that. And it wasn't until till I got older, I really want to say until I got into my own relationship, if I'm being as honest as I can be, that it really made me like look at myself and look at what I want, what Keanna wants, right? Looking at my grandma, looking at my mom, their priority was always their partner, right? My grandpa and my stepfather. So when I was in my relationship and the man that I'm with is not Polynesian, I put him on this pedestal and I made his plate, and I like, things that you just naturally do, right? And there were times his mom would say like, no, have him make his own plate, like, but in my head, that's what I'm supposed to do. So eventually it took a strain on our relationship. And I think it was because I felt like I needed to do everything and I was losing myself. It ended up making me resent him, right? Because I'm blaming him for me not loving myself when not me. And a lot of it had to do with just the way that I was raised to think, one, that I can't be my own priority, which is a huge problem in Polynesian culture. Another issue within, I don't even know if it's just Polynesian families, I guess I could only speak on my own family, is this definition of love. And I think that we kind of manipulate this definition of love. Like
Yeah.
the more that I do for you, or the more that I sacrifice for you, or I'm willing to sacrifice, means I love you more.
Oh, that's facts right there.
That really isn't what love is, right? Love
Yeah.
should be conditional, whether I am willing to make your plate, or if I'm tired and I'm not willing to make your plate, I love you, period.
Yeah.
You know,
And also I think I just want to throw in there, love also needs to be reciprocal.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah. It has
Because
to be, it can't be
again,
one side. It
when
can't be
you
one
feel like
side. It
you're
needs to be
giving 80% and they're not,
exactly.
you end up.
And I feel like the Polynesian definition of love is always one-sided. Always.
Yeah. Even looking at like not just romantic relationships, but
Just relationships. Yeah.
like the discussions with my uncle, where my uncle will say, you know, I'm willing to, you know, beat this guy's ass for you, or I'm willing to go to jail for you. Like, that's not you loving me. That's you making me feel like, oh, I don't want that type of danger.
Yeah.
Let me just, you know, follow what you're saying. Again, it's just this terrible toxic manipulation that is a strain on
Yeah, because by beating that guy, you know, doesn't fix the issue of what happened, of why it didn't work out.
yeah exactly. So just going back to just getting into a relationship, seeing that, you know, maybe this isn't healthy,
Okay.
and kind of having to change my own ways. That was another big area or time in my life that I felt like I had to reflect. And then another area that I don't even know if I should call it a hiccup, because life is full of ups and downs, but I guess a low in life was when I was cutting. So from age 11, I started in like 7th grade. I think I was so worried about being perfect and putting on this front, again, being the good girl, being the good student, setting the example for my younger siblings, that I'd never spoke out, never said anything was wrong. And instead of actually dealing with things that were an issue, I, you know, did a lot of self-harm. So from age 11 until I was 22, so just a few years ago, it was a constant thing. And then when I was 22, I ended up in the emergency room because I cut too deep. And that was like a huge turning point too, where I was like, this is not okay. I need to stop carrying this load of my own issues, my family's issues, and actually like taking control of my emotional health, because me obviously hiding what I'm feeling is getting me to the damn emergency room. So it's not productive and efficient. So I think looking at those two specifically were big areas of growth for me now that I can look back, but also just like such a realization that things that I learned as a kid, or that I thought were normal, weren't normal. So it was time to kind of take action.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to say, you know, thank you for sharing that. You know, thank you for the courage. I know that's a very deep part of your life. But the fact you shared it today, I just want to throw you some love and the big hug.
I did.
But I just want to say, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Because I do know there are a lot of people. I had no people personally myself that self-harmed themselves, people that I love. So whenever I hear that, you know, that I always think about those people I care about. So much love to you. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
But I do want to dive in. But I do want to dive into that because, you know, I just want to throw you, because I remember I had a conversation with somebody, and then, you know, one of my good friends, and then, you know, they were self-harming themselves, and then I remember something she said that was kind of powerful, and I want to share that with you and everybody. She said, I remember she told me, you know, the reason why I self-harmed myself because I didn't feel anything. Because, and I know I know you talked about it, like, because as kids, we grew up in a culture where we don't express ourselves. You know, we can't challenge anything. We can't express how we feel. We don't talk about, and me just I remember even myself growing up as a child, you know, I've never had a one-on-one. I never had a conversation with my parents and told them what I was going through. But it always goes back to that, you know, we have to be perfect and we have to be strong all the time. right? So, and I remember I was talking to this girl. She said that a lot of times she didn't know, she didn't know the different feelings she was feeling, and she didn't even know what happened, what sadness was. She didn't know what the difference between
Yes.
happiness and sadness. So all she knew was happiness. And then when it came to sadness, the only time she felt sadness was when she got disciplined.
Yeah. That.
All right. And so, and I just want to go, I kind of want to go into that because I really feel like that, part of what needs to change, not only within our community, but also there's a lot of people that's going through struggles right now as Polynesians. It says we lack the emotional intelligence to understand what we're going through. And I feel like that's really, really important because, and I want to ask you is, when you were self-harming and stuff, like, what did you, was it like, what was the specific reason? Was it to feel something, or was it just to, was it,
Yeah.
I'm just interested to hear because because the reason why I want to ask you this question and go deeper into it, because I want people to understand that this is real and these are things that kids and people go through.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially with my own personal experience, like, our elder generation or people, they think that mental health or what we go through doesn't mean that they don't believe in it. They think it's like, I don't know what in Tonga we call it laupiste, which is silly. They call it silly.
Yeah.
I don't know Samoan. I don't know what you guys say in Samoan,
Mm-hmm.
but they think it's silly because like, and I feel like because we don't address these issues and I want people to understand like the psychology of why people do this. Like they don't do this for attention, right? They're not doing this for attention. They're not doing this for any other reason. It's like they're trying to feel something that they don't they don't feel in their life or they're not getting from people. So like they're trying to when I feel like, and based on what conversation I have with the people that gone through it, is like they needed to feel something like real because when they grew up they never felt that affection, felt that love, or felt whatever the feelings that we need as kids. Because a lot of times the only emotion that we see from we don't get. I don't know, for a lot of Polynesian parents, there's no affection. There's no like.
Yeah.
All right. There's no affection. I remember as a kid, like I never had any. Like I remember, I'll share this funny story. I remember coming to America. So I grew up in Tonga.
Mm-hmm.
Hardcore, tough love. Hardcore, disciplined childhood. Living in Tonga. So I came here. And then I saw all these white kids, right, with their parents, and they're holding hands and they're like hugging each other. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my own parents, like, how come I can't? I was like, what? I was just confused. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
But deep down, like I wanted it. Like that's why I wanted it as a child. So I feel like, like I said, I feel like a lot of these comes from just, not feeling appreciated or heard or loved, depending on your own experience. But it just comes down to like, children not feeling like they're loved or they feel like they're valued or heard in their own family. So naturally, if you don't feel any kind of love or affection or appreciation towards you, you need to, sometimes you turn to like self-harm to kind of like feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just interested to hear your perspective of like what made you decide, I want to start harming myself, because I want people to understand that this is a real thing, and you're not, and kids do this. It's more of a like, hey, something, I need help.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, it really was just like a call for help.
Yeah.
So one thing also I want to clear up, I think a lot of people think initially self-harm means suicidal, and
Yeah.
there actually isn't like a direct line to that. I think a lot of it is similar, but not necessarily the same. So speaking on my own experience, it was never suicidal. I think we've all had, like very sad thoughts and,
Mhm.
kind of gone through either depression or something close to depression. So for me, what self-harm was, it was mainly, I think just dealing with my emotions. I think the only thing I knew how to feel was anger.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what sadness was, because that
Yeah.
means you're weak, right?
Yeah.
So I remember like this same thing going through my head where I feel like I didn't know how to identify sadness. So then I was like kind of confused, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I felt like I was being weak because I was, crying at the time or whatever. usually like in my room. Sometimes I'd even go like in my closet because I just wanted to make sure that no one saw me crying.
Yeah, yeah,
That was another big one. I was always crying in the shower because no one could hear me crying from
yeah,
water, right? So I would feel confused, and then I would get mad at myself because I
yeah,
felt like I was being weak, and I kept feeling like, why can't I handle this? Whatever I'm going through right now, I should be able to handle this, and I'm mad at myself that I can't. So let me, cut and do all these other things
mhm,
because um, basically disciplining myself,
yeah,
like the weird, I don't know what I was thinking, but
yeah,
that's ultimately what it was. So that's kind of how it started when I was younger. So again, I started in seventh grade, but I always did it, and instantly it was like, okay, now I feel better. Put my face back on, and let me go out there. Let me go help with the dishes. Let me go be the big sister. Let me go um, do my homework because Keanna doesn't ever like do anything wrong, right?
yeah,
As I got older and went through more traumatic events, I think they were huge signals for me that I was dealing with. I would identify it as depression. I don't know specifically or if that's like actually accurate, but I think looking back, I would say just really, really tough issues, and I still didn't get help. So when I was in high school, I was actually I dealt with sexual assault,
mhm,
and it was from a family member. So it was like within very close knit. So around that time, I was cutting every day. Um, Eventually, like pick myself up, and then looking at when I was in law school, I went to law school after undergrad, so I was about 20. I think I was 21 when I went to law school because I finished early. Um, and I was so unhappy. I moved to New York. I was um, doing something that I thought everyone else wanted me to do, my family. A lot of Samoans back home were, you're going to be one of the first Samoan attorneys, had all
yeah,
this pressure on me to kind of fulfill something that I knew wasn't what I wanted to do.
mhm,
Um, and being alone out there, I like cut everyone off. There was a day where I like turned my phone off. My mom had no idea how to get a hold of me. And another time, looking back, I think that was me dealing with depression. And again, in that time, I was cutting every day, just super unhappy. So now that I'm able to reflect, I think those were always these huge red flags that I didn't want to take.
yeah,
Um, that meant that you should go see a therapist. You should go
yeah,
help because
yeah,
something is wrong, and for you to be letting it out on yourself and holding it all in is just a lot. So
yeah, yeah. So, and I feel like, and then first, I want to throw it out there for everybody that's watching this, like, you know, having sad feelings. I just want to, for everybody out there, that's a normal part of being a human being. And
yeah,
crying, that's
it's
a
not
normal
you're
part.
supposed to cry. Your body doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
like
Right. So but it's so crazy, right? Like as kids, like we think crying is like we is something that's weak, and we try
we
to avoid
get
it.
disciplined and we cry and our parents tell us to stop crying or we're gonna get disciplined. It's like really
Yo,
not.
so I remember I shared this as a funny story, like a couple podcasts ago to talk about crying. Um, so for me today, I can't cry. So I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you had this experience. Have you ever been like disciplined by your parents, and then and they tell you if you the more you cry, the more they hit you.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right, which is the craziest thing ever. Like, wait, you told me stop crying, but you hit me like what?
Yeah, so I'm supposed to sit here and take and not
Right.
cry. It hurts.
So I remember as a child. That's like, I realized, if I stop crying when I'm getting disciplined, they'll they'll stop hitting me.
Yeah, it'll
The
be
more
done.
I cry, so I kind of learned how to like take the discipline and then
Mhm.
condition myself to stop crying, as a child. So fast forward now, I can't even cry no more.
What they did.
I'm telling you, it's so hard for me to cry, even when in certain situations when I'm supposed to cry.
Mhm.
Sometimes people look at me like, dude, are you like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you like, why don't you feel anything? I was like, no, look, I'm telling you, I don't want to talk about my trauma, my childhood right now.
Yeah, they just come.
Like I can't cry even if I wanted to. It's just I've conditioned myself like because of like my early childhood. But that's a little fun story. That's the Polynesian life, the Polynesian upbringing.
We all can relate. Yeah.
um, yeah, but yeah, I just want to throw it out there because I know a lot of people watching this. Like, to let them, and that's one of the things I hear from a lot of Polynesians, right? Like thinking that having moments of weakness or just having bad days is a terrible thing. But everybody is going through something, and we're all going to have some type of bad day.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna and there's nothing wrong with crying, and I feel like that's what a lot of kids need to hear. That can definitely help because like I can totally relate to that, and I understand because I know a lot of people like that where they think that having these emotions. So what happens is if we when we try not to deal when we try to avoid those feelings, those like you said, you hide it and you hold it in and you bottle it up. And one thing I know about ill feelings, unhealthy emotions, you can't let it bottle up within you. You have to let it go.
Yeah.
And the more we
really
keep it in,
sits there.
it sits there. And of course, as you live your life and the more you hold it in, it just gets compounded.
Yeah.
And more and more. And then I feel like I always like to use the analogy, it's a ticking time bomb. It's like one day it's gonna explode.
Yeah.
And that's why I just want to throw it out there. And I love that you brought that up, that so people can hear that side, like kids know, hey, if you want to cry, that's okay, cry. If you have if you're feeling moments of weakness, just having a bad day, just feeling sad, like also let you know, the difference between, I believe, being on sadness and depression is the length of period of time that you're unhappy. So if you're just having like a one day that you're just sad for whatever reason, you had a bad day at school or whatever, that's normal, right? We feel it, we just feel sad, and then tomorrow you wake up, you're good. But if you wake up if you're waking up if you're going through a long period of time, whatever it's like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when those feelings don't go away and you're just constantly feeling sad, no matter what the circumstances are, I remember reading it. That's what depression is depending on how long
and things that you normally love.
Yeah. So if you're just like have some bad days and crying, that's cool. All right. So all right. So that's normal. But I just want to put out there, like, look, if you've noticed that within yourself that you've been sad for a long period of time, and no matter what happens in your life, you're still sad. That's definitely defined as depression, and I suggest to seek help. Go find some people and some good people, positive people, and professional help as well. And I know as Polynesian, that's one that we have this pride, right? We have this pride, like I know, like I don't need help. I'm strong, especially especially if you're an independent woman, right? Like you want to be strong. You don't want especially if you're independent, you want to self-reliant as a person. That's one of the hardest things if you rely on yourself and you want to do everything on yourself. That to go ask somebody for help. Because you've been, especially if you've gone through a hard life, that you've kind of went through your whole life journey by yourself, and you made it this far in life. I know it's really, really, even for myself, I still find it hard. I mean, for me, I've kind of went through my own self love journey, so kind of like just figured things on my own. I still find it hard for myself, even to this day, to ask for help.
Yeah.
But because I've gone through my whole life, figured things out. Yeah. But I realized that there's certain things in life that you definitely need some love and some outside assistance. So, but that's something I just want to put out there. When it comes to having those moments of weakness and crying, that's a normal feeling. Okay.
Okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Okay. I like that. It's okay not to be okay. All right. So, so for you, like when did it click? Like when did you get to a point when you realize, okay, all right, this is not working. I need a change. And so what kind of like influenced you to kind of like try to make those changes in your life? Because I know you've talked about a lot so far.
Yeah. So as far as the cutting went, like I remember being in the emergency room, and my boyfriend had brought me because we were together at the time, and I was kind of just sitting there like, this isn't like, how long am I supposed to do this for? Right? Like when I'm a mom and I'm stressed out, am I supposed to, put my babies down and go to the room and cut? Like, no, that's not the lifestyle that I want to have in the future. And then also my mom. So my mom, I ended up telling her about the emergency room, and she had known about the cutting because again, it had been 10 years. So a lot of my immediate family knew about it. And they urged me to get help. But like we talked about earlier, if you don't want to help yourself, you're not gonna change.
Yeah.
When I told my mom, last night I was in the emergency room, I had to get stitches, this and that, her response was, all right, so how long are you gonna do this? Do you want me to start planning your funeral, or I don't know what? She was like, because the only person you're hurting is us. Who's gonna pay for your funeral? Are we gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
And that like tough love is very stereotypical for Filipino. She's Filipino, but again, just Polynesian culture. But yeah, it just really got me thinking, like, this is getting old. I need to stop, I need to stop pushing it aside because I have the resources to help me. And at this point, I'm choosing not to take the resources. I have a family that has tried to support me. I have, my mom and my dad both tried to get me to see therapy, and I didn't want to. I felt like that wasn't what you do. So that was a big turning point for me to turn my life around a little bit and start seeing a therapist, getting energy work done. And then, so this last year in 2020, I saw the most progress within myself. And I feel like that kind of just pushes me to keep going. So I love my therapist. I get Reiki done like every 2 to 3 months. And I just feel so much lighter. So being able to just step out of what I'm used to, the norm, my comfort zone, taking care of myself, seeing how much better I am, how much more I can help other people, and just like how much my life has flourished since I started doing that. It's obviously not a coincidence, So yeah, 2020 was a big year for me to up my game.
Okay. I'm interested to hear. So, growing up when you were going through these struggles, like you've always been open communication with your parents, everything that you've gone through in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, I think that was, one benefit, my parents being so young. They're not stupid, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot harder to change from young parents. For all the people watching, don't hide. But so they knew about it. I think they knew about it when I was like in middle school, and then they tried to send me to therapy. I think that may have also been a reason why I didn't want to do it when I was older, is because they forced me to see a therapist, and she was, I don't want to say she was terrible. We didn't connect. So I just felt like I'm sitting here wasting my time. Like, this lady isn't helping me. So I think I went maybe twice, and then that was it. So when I got older, I don't think my parents knew that it had continued for so long, because, also once you get caught doing something, you either just you either stop or you just learn how to get better at hiding it. So I don't think my parents knew that I did it as I got older. So when it resurfaced when I was 22, then they were a little angry. I hadn't said anything earlier, but yeah.
I know you mentioned something that before. I know you said that you went through some type of form of sexual abuse early. And I just want to talk about that real quick, because I feel like there's a topic that's kind of taboo within our community, and I know a lot of girls go through it. And I want to share something with you that one of a podcast I did with Tasha a couple of days ago. Tasha, shout out to you. But she said something that I feel like is really important to bring up. She said that, and I asked her about it, what was one thing within the Polynesian culture that when it comes to women that you feel like that we definitely need to change, based on her own opinion. And she said that when she grew up as a girl, she she said she wished somebody would have taught her the difference between good touching and bad touching. And she said that a lot of times, as women, they don't teach you these type of touchings or what these type of, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. That's why a lot of girls within the Polynesian community get abused, and they just don't know they were abused until like years later when they finally become adults and like, oh wow, like this type of behavior was not appropriate, but now they look back. So I'm just interested in you first knowing what you went through, and also like did you express that to your family when you went through that? And what was the reaction and response? If you did tell them about the sexual abuse, like what was their reaction to you?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out like where to start. Sorry. So like I said, it was a struggle because I think any person that goes through sexual violence, it's like a lot to sort through emotionally, right? And then not having the foundation to even understand what emotions are just makes it that much harder for Polynesians. And then for it to be a family member too, it's just even harder, because Polynesians are known for being close-knit, strong family ties. So when you are violated by someone that you're supposed to trust, it's a lot to deal with. And so for my story, I did tell my family. I told my mom, and my mom, just based off like the little bit that I've told you, she was like very strong when I told her, thankfully. And just asked what I wanted to do. I told her pretty soon after it happened. And I think she was able to think clear enough to know that what I needed was just someone to be there for me. So that was kind of what the role that she played in the situation. And it was actually on my Samoan side. So it was on my dad's side as far as the situation. So when I told him, I really didn't want to tell my dad. I remember just being, So again, my mom told me if I wanted to tell him, I could. If not, then, that's fine too. But I decided that I wanted to speak up and I wanted to say something only because I have cousins and, just thinking about people after me.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 17.
17. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So it was my senior year in high school. I was kind of transitioning out of school, thinking more about college. So thankfully, I think that was the best time it could have been for me because it was right before I was leaving. I went to Santa Barbara for undergrad. So it kind of gave me like a fresh start. But so I told my dad, and I remember his initial reaction was that it was actually like it was my fault almost. His initial reaction, I think, just because he didn't understand what I was trying to tell him, was like, "Oh, were you having a relationship with this person?" And I was like, "No, this wasn't by choice," And I think it was just pure like confusion, like what the hell is going on, shock, really just not being able to believe that something like this could happen to his daughter, to someone within the family. So after we cleared it up, he understood what happened, and he was angry. And so we ended up, both families came together, and the news came out, and we actually went to the police about it. So that was another level to it, is speaking up on it. And sorry, I'm just trying to pick my words.
No, I got you. I feel it.
To make sure that I'm expressing this the best way that I possibly can. And it was difficult because I felt like, really, if I could go back to our original conversation when we first started the podcast about the strength of a woman, right? The
Yeah.
woman sacrifices and the woman that speaks out. So
Yeah.
that is how I could relate how I was feeling, because I was raised in a younger generation where women are taught to be more independent, and I
Yeah.
wanted to protect other women. At the same time, I remember no, that came after actually, but there were other things in the news that came up about women speaking out. I think um, the Me Too movement came not too long after the incident at Stanford with the water polo player.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Things in the outside world that was pushing me to be strong and to speak up and to say my story. But then culturally, it was like, oh, you're willing to put the family at risk because of what happened, or you're willing to bring shame to the family because of what happened. Is kind of how I received it.
Yeah. So that's something I just wanted to jump in there real quick.
Yeah.
For me, that's one of the most toxic things that we practice as a culture. And I've seen this so many times where they put the family name above the well-being of the child of anybody. It's more important. Like, and because I've seen that I've had personal experiences with people where they go through like struggles like what you talk about right now, and that's what they tell me, like, oh, like when they bring up and when they finally open up to their family, instead of the reaction, hey, like, are you okay? You need some love, you need support. The first reaction is, oh wow, what are people going to say about our family? Which is, for me, which is crazy. Like, for me, it's like if somebody comes up to you and like somebody comes up to me and was like, hey, I just got abused. I'm like, who? Like, what the hell? Like, I'll be like, yo, what's going on? Like, I'm more focused on that person than anything else. But I've seen it so many times where in the Polynesian community where the well-being of the family name, the reputation of the family name is more of a priority than what happened to you. And I've seen this so many times. And that's why I based on my conversation with a lot of women are like that, why they don't want to come out. I was like, because for me it's like that's something that I've always wanted to like figure out, because I mean I'm never that's never happened to me. It was like, how come like these Polynesian women are not just coming out? But then when I finally had individual conversations, that's one of the main things I always hear. That's kind of like common. They always say, oh yeah, I didn't want to let down the family, or I didn't want to bring down the family.
Yeah, because thankfully, again, I feel like having a younger, my parents being younger, they were supportive. So it wasn't that I felt that from my immediate family. Even, like my grandparents and stuff like that. But being the girl in the family, it was, oh, well, now I'm going to be the reason why at the next family barbecue, we either don't go or, it's awkward. And so I feel like I like put a lot of that pressure on myself too.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that's how I perceived it.
Yeah.
Because I do want to say that, like, thankfully I have the privilege of having a supportive and open family where I know in a lot of other families it would have been completely different. So I think that I'm just thankful for a supportive family in general. But yeah, I think that was definitely, I think you hit it on with like Polynesian women who have been abused, just being afraid of rocking the boat because that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's up there. Just I see all the time, and based on the conversations I have, like where like, and then number one, that's what I say. Anybody that's watching this, and if you're going through some type of like sexual abuse, I highly please, you have to bring that up, like, because I feel like I know it's tough, especially when all the layers of the things we go through culturally, and how you've been raised, and especially the judgment and criticism that's going to be perceived. I remember, I don't know if you saw it. I did one of my podcasts. I remember this girl. I don't know if her name was Nini. She talked about her. I don't know if you saw that or no. She talked about her rape, being raped from these couple guys. And I feel like, and it was just crazy for me. It was just like, it was just crazy for me where like the first response of like the Polynesian community, especially on social media, was like, I think something you said like before, like when you kind of first opened up, they first made it seem like it was your fault. All right. I mean, that's what it seemed like, but then they finally understood the story, what you said, and then they come on, okay, this is what happened. But that's something that I kind of noticed, especially with a lot of like Polynesian women, or when it comes to sexual abuse, especially from family members, especially if it's family member is like a well-respected family member. Like that's the first response, like, when that she egged them on, or it's her fault. And for me to like that kind of thinking, like like that's crazy for me. Like, to think that some child egged an adult, like, it's her fault why that adult abused, but for some reason that's like everybody's initial response. And then for me, like, I don't understand how people have that mentality, but it's crazy for me how people have that like that way of thinking, that they literally blame the younger girl, and she, like, it's her fault for the reason why this adult definitely was the reason why that happened in the first place. And I feel like, like you said, I feel like that stems to what you said. Like, we as a culture, we don't have the information to learn about feelings of happiness, of mental health, and then all we know is just what we've been taught. So, if something happens, we're always going to fall back to what we've been taught, which is the elders is always right. No matter what.
And it's not it's not the way it should be working.
Okay, so you finally made the decision to, okay, you know what, I know you said you had your conversation with your mom. She gave you that tough love. You need to get your life together. So can you take it from there? I'm interested to hear, what steps did you take to start changing your life and kind of working towards being the woman you are today?
It's still a work in progress. It's like something that you kind of have to choose every day, is to prioritize your health. So I think for me, for so long, because I've always loved working out on the physical, outside, Keanna seemed healthy, but internally it did not align at all. So my first step was seeing a therapist and finding someone that I was able to actually connect to. And on my end, going in with an open mind. I think I always thought like a therapist was supposed to be the one to fix it, when that's not their job at all. The therapist is there to listen so that you can fix it. It's like just realizing, like, a lot of times, when you say it out loud, then it hits harder than when you're just thinking it. So that person is there as just support. So that was big, is realizing that I'm in charge of my own healing. That goes for everything that, any different traumas that I've had in my own personal life. I can't play victim. I can't, again, don't get me wrong. Please sit with emotions. If you are sad, if you are depressed, if you are angry, whatever your emotion is, sit with that, and that's fine. But also there's a time when, like, I need to create the life I want to live, is the most positive way to say that. And I don't want to feel these emotions all the time. So going into therapy, understanding that it's going to take me putting in the effort more than her. So don't go in with an expectation from another person. Getting energy work done. So I don't know, but like your different chakras, just making sure it's aligned so that your body and spirit and soul can just move within its like most optimal health. Doing that. Another thing is surrounding myself with the right people. I think that I grew up in South City, so I have a very strong foundation of family and friends here.
Mhm.
But thankfully, I was able to go away for school. And then also when I was living in New York for law school, and I've always valued traveling. In high school, I did a lot of service projects, and that got me interested in traveling. So being able to get that perspective, even if it was just for a little bit, um, has helped me realize that there's more. So a lot of people in South City go to school in South City, get a job in South City, marry someone from South City, like
And
it's
live and live their whole life in South City.
like, yeah, exactly. So um
And that can go for culture as well. People stay in the culture, marry within the culture,
yeah,
live in
and
the
I'm all
culture.
about, full breeds and everything like that, but also being able to like um diversify your circle
Yeah,
because you learn so much from your circle. So what I realized is there's a lot of people in my circle. I saw something on Instagram, I think just yesterday, and it was a big one. It was I realized who was in my corner and who was in my business. So
got
it's
you.
people that you surround yourself with that don't always have the best intentions or most genuine intentions for you.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that, honestly would rather see themselves, above you or
Yeah,
kind of secretly enjoy your failures and your
yeah,
struggles.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
um, yeah, so I think trying to surround myself with more women specifically that were moving the same direction as me. And some people that
yeah,
weren't moving the same, not necessarily moving forward, but not moving in the same direction. So like creating their own path, but moving
yeah.
forward.
Just people who are aligned with your goals and dreams and
Yeah.
what you want for life. Yeah, yeah,
So that has also been another area where I feel like I've grown and it's helped me grow. Yeah.
yeah. So I want to dive into that. I love. Um, I've also experienced. I know. I shared that with you. Like, I grew up in the Tongan culture. I'm really hard, really traditional, hardcore Tongan, tough love. But it wasn't until I met certain people and I spent time away from my culture. So, and the reason why I bring this up because I feel like who you surround yourself with is uh, it's a critical part of the process of growth.
Mhm.
Um, and I know within any culture you grow up in, we always want to stay comfortable with who we grew up with. And the reason why I bring this up because you said it first, like you when you went outside, they kind of keep because the good thing about leaving and going to different places and meeting different people, you learn different perspectives,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I feel like if I didn't go out, I think one of my boys I did a podcast with. He said it the best. I love this quote. I want to use this, even though it's his catchphrase, but I'm gonna use the quote. I'm giving him the credit. It's Josiah Alipate. He said that sometimes in life that we have to, as Polynesians, if we want to grow, we have to be okay just like going outside of the culture, uh, stepping outside the culture, but not away from the culture. So,
Mhm.
so it's good to step outside of it because for me, one thing I realized in any culture, just understanding that every culture is not perfect, right?
Mhm.
Because I know as Polynesians, we're hardcore. We're hardcore Polynesian pride. For me, Tongan, we call it matematonga, like the Tongan pride. So with the Samoans, you guys have your Samoan pride, like, and sometimes this pride can be our own like downfall that we think that our culture it is perfect in every way of its being.
Asian culture or the highway.
Exactly right. It's
Yeah.
either you with us or
Or you're
my
not.
way, the highway, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's just I'm just living my own life, understanding that everything in life is it's not perfect. Our Polynesian culture, my Tongan culture, as much as I love it, as much as I'm a diehard Tongan, I realize that there's a lot of it's not perfect. There's a lot of unhealthy ways of thinking and things that we do within our culture, and I wouldn't have known that until I left it and went outside
Mhm.
and started talking to different people, learning from people, and realizing, oh wow, like like I said, like with the same simple concept of just helping yourself, of self-love, and of helping yourself first, so that way you can help others.
Mhm.
When I grew up in the Tongan culture, it's always give everything you have to sacrifice everything you have for your family. Don't worry about yourself. Don't worry about yourself.
Mhm.
do everything for your family, do all about yourself. And if you do that, then everybody, you'll be considered a good son or a good daughter. But then, but everybody knows, if you help everybody else, if you don't help yourself, then you end up hurting yourself and being sad. So, but I think that's for every Polynesian out there. I feel like that everybody should, at some point in time in their life, they should step outside of the culture and go surround themselves with different people, especially the good people, like you said. People have your best interest. Don't not the people in your what was it in your corner? What was it in your corner or in your business?
In your corner in your business, yes.
Exactly. Like make sure you surround yourself with people that that choose. My favorite one is like choose people who choose you. They want the best for you. They don't care about anything else. They just want you to be happy. That's all they care about. It's pure intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for everybody out there like that's going through a lot of struggle, and they've been growing up in the culture, like I always want to challenge people to go outside of it and just surround yourself with different people so you can see a different side and compare it. Because if you just grow up a lot of times I know that if you just grow up in that bubble,
yeah,
if you're going in that bubble, you don't know what's like you even you said, like as kids, we don't know what our feelings are.
mm-hmm.
So we don't know if this is a good feeling or unhealthy feeling. We just think that we don't know because we don't understand it. we just think it's normal life, right? Like, oh, I'm waking up and I hate myself. That's normal. So I'm just gonna keep going with it. Yeah, exactly. And I've seen it. It's crazy. I've seen like adults or even like elder generation people like not even having the simple scale of understanding of emotional intelligence to understand their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I just want to put out there. It's like if you want to feel like if you want to grow, you want to love yourself more, I always challenge you. And also just don't fall to the criticism of Polynesians. Polynesians, if you start hanging out with other people, especially white people, oh, you feel balangi or you want to be white. And for me, like I grew up in Tonga. When I came here, I'm like, I want to hang out with other people. I spent my whole life in Tonga, like hanging out with other Tongans.
Yeah.
So I was attracted to like hanging around with different people because when I started like learning from different people, like and just hearing their thoughts, I was like, oh wow, like for me, I was like that was like a light bulb in my head. I didn't like just a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. But I just want to put out there, and I love that you share that that's a big part of why you are who you are today, that you went outside of it. And when you went to New York, you went to a different experience. Mm-hmm. What I ask you is, so when you spend time with different types of people,
yeah,
what was one thing that you learned from other people something that you realized that you were doing that wasn't in your own best interest? You thought it was helping you, but then when you finally went outside of it, you're like, oh wow, I need to stop doing that. That's unhealthy, especially when it comes to my habits, my mindset. Like I'm just interested to hear like when you started learning from different people, when you went outside, and you kind of look back and self-reflected and compare, and you realize, oh wow, like that's something I should stop doing, that I've been doing my whole life. And I'm interested to hear that when what were those things that you kind of figured out?
I'd say the one that stands out the most is what we touched on earlier of this definition of love and being able to understand the difference between like love and manipulation with all relationships. I think that I always grew up thinking that love was supposed to be sacrifice. So in my friendships and relationships, one of my love languages is, for example, food. So if I am going to school and bringing you lunch every day because I want to, that's like me showing you that I love you. And a lot of times I would expect something in return. And I don't think that is, again, how, it's not like a healthy way of looking at it. So when I would look at my grandma's relationship and my mom's relationship, the more that they broke their back was supposed to be symbolic of how much they loved and cared for their family. Mm-hmm. When they would have been much better off if they would have just taken a quick break, came back 110%, here we go, as opposed to like constantly working at like a 40% level, So this definition of love, which also kind of brings us to this idea of like prioritizing yourself, which we also talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that's what stands out to me most. And I feel like that's what I've learned most recently is growing up, how we look at it, and then what's an actual healthy way of taking action with it.
Okay. So I kind of want to dive into that definition of love. I feel like that's a very good topic. And if you're Polynesian, they're always pushing you to get married really, really early. So, so being single is a struggle.
Yeah.
So we were always trying to find love, like you're reminded like go find some love every day with your family members. But yeah, I do want to talk about that. I think that's something that's important. And I'm just interested to hear your perspective on it. I want to ask you is, you know, I know you talked about that's something you learned, but I want to ask you like, why do you feel like why do you feel like a lot of Polynesian girls stay in relationships that's toxic or it doesn't have the right type of love for them? Because I think somebody brought that up to me before I will give my answer, but I'm interested to hear yours because you have your own unique experience, and I'm sure you have family and friends as well that probably been in those types of relationships. So based on what you see being Polynesian, grew up in that culture, like why do you feel like a lot of Polynesian girls stay in toxic relationships and never find the courage to seek something better? Because I've seen this a lot where I see, even with my sisters. I mean, I'm not getting into her business. I'll fight Tulana. But I remember my sister, she went through a toxic relationship. And for me as a brother, I was like, what the? I couldn't understand why, you know? Yeah. I was like, why this dude keeps hurting you? Mm-hmm. This dude keeps disappointing you. And I never understood it. Like why she would stay there. And so I feel like it's an interesting topic. But yeah, I'm gonna ask you your opinion and your perspective. Why do you feel like a lot of Polynesian women like stay in toxic relationships and never never seek something better?
I think there's one, just the overall like Polynesian issue of comfortability and being comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is I don't think that we ever really focus on uplifting our Polynesian women. I think that's something that's actually lacking a lot in our culture is at least speaking on my own household, mm-hmm. I had the perspective of my mom's side, which a lot of her family, the women were big on education, really big on education, actually, mm-hmm. And being independent. And a lot of them got divorced. So my grandma on my mom's side, my Filipino grandma, I think there's 9 girls, and I want to say 7 or 8 of them are divorced.
Oh, dang.
They all have amazing careers. But yeah, so that's one perspective.
Yeah.
And then the other side, on my dad's side, which is the Samoan side, I don't think I can name any one of my grandma or grandpa siblings that are divorced. Mm-hmm. But just going back to like, as a young girl, I think we're taught to care for the household, care for other people, and we don't care for ourselves. So when you don't care for yourself, you don't have a very good perception of yourself. You don't have, you're not going to value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, other people won't value you.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we ever really talk about self-confidence within our community. I don't think that we ever encourage women to make themselves feel beautiful. I know that for both, Tongan and Samoan cultures, modesty is big. Mm-hmm. But you can be modest and be confident.
Yeah.
So I think teaching that is important. But I think we're just always taught to tell girls just to kind of lay low,
Yeah.
stay in the kitchen, make sure you have your EA on so you're not too revealing. And I'm not saying that if you're confident you need to be wearing revealing or sexy clothing,
Yeah.
but just making sure that you feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for our Polynesian community, it's very extreme. Like the moment you step outside modesty, and I'm not saying like even like just wearing something simple that's kind of that's kind of different from that's usually what other girls wear. Like everybody just trashes you. I've seen this a lot.
Yeah.
Where like you get like a girl can't even just take a selfie just feeling beautiful and
Without
then without.
that too. I don't know if it's just Polynesian culture, but we talk a lot of crap to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like a form of, I don't know, breaking the ice or what, but yeah, that's also really common. Is it's so much easier for us to call someone out and to put them down than it is to uplift them. And I'm guilty of it too. Within my own friend group, I'm quick to say, damn, that's an ugly shirt, as opposed to, like,
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
different. Well, that's different.
yeah,
Fashion. Yeah, I think fashion, but when it comes to tearing a human being down,
yeah, like actually putting them down to where
bad
you
yeah,
feel bad.
yeah, exactly. Because if you're wearing something ugly, I'm gonna let you know you're wearing something ugly.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo, one of those.
yeah, exactly.
But I feel like a lot of times it's just I think that's it just comes from our culture of our way of thinking and not being taught that sometimes like I told you before, like we grew up in this bubble, right?
Mhm.
So this is how a man should be, and this is how a woman should be,
Yeah.
and then that's our reality. And if you go against that, and if anybody that kind of steps outside of that reality of that culture, automatically you're seen as automatically you're seen as either they judge you and criticize you because you're going against everything they believed in, right?
Passive judgment is another issue. Yeah, like
Yeah, and
whether
plus, go ahead.
gender roles or religion in our cultures, I think we're always passing judgment on each other.
You know what? I thought of this myself when I asked you what do you think,
Uh-huh.
because what happens is like I told you before, in the culture we don't teach empowerment, right? We don't teach self-help, self-love. That's something we don't teach. We don't teach kids growing up. And I realized, and you probably relate to this because you went through your own self-love journey.
Mm-hmm.
When you go through your own self-love journey, is in loving yourself and loving your flaws, loving your insecurities, loving your struggles, loving the things that you suffered from, accepting what happened, no matter how painful it was, so you can move on from it.
Mm-hmm.
In that process, naturally, you develop empathy.
Yes.
Because you've gone through it and you felt it. So what happens is when you go through your self-love process of healing and loving yourself and never wanting to put yourself in a position to feel that pain, you develop a natural empathy towards others that are going through the same pain.
Yes.
So our Polynesians never got the self-love memo. So they don't have empathy.
Zero empathy.
So that's why we criticize, because we don't have empathy. Well, we do, but we've just never been taught to use it.
Yeah.
Right. Because everybody has it. And I feel like for me, I don't judge nobody no more. That's something I've done a lot of work on, because I've worked on myself so much, and knowing for myself that I'm not a perfect man. I have my own insecurities. I have my own flaws, and also understanding that no matter how mean or how unwelcome somebody may be acting towards you, usually people that act bad towards you or behave negative or whatever towards you, hurt people. One of my favorite sayings in the world is hurt people hurt other people. Because if you love yourself, if you're content with yourself, if you can't hurt another human being, because you're content and happy where you are, so you don't have the energy and time to hurt other people. Yeah. But when you're discontent with your own life, you're unhappy with your own life, you need to hurt other people just to feel kind of like validated by your own life, your own miserable life that you've gone through. So And I feel like as a Polynesian community, because we never go through the self-love process, that's why that hate is strong. That dark force, the dark force is strong in the Polynesian community.
Yeah.
And especially when you, like you said, when it comes to women, right? Like there's not a lot of women empowerment. And that's why I love what you're doing. You know, I really respect what you're doing out there, which especially with the founder of Fitness is Key. Founder of Fitness is Key. And that's a lot of what you do is like you empower other people through your passion in having a healthy lifestyle. And that's why I love what you're doing. Like you empower other people, because when you empower other people, what happens is they start empowering other people as well. It's a domino effect. And that's something I see that especially when, and I remember I had a discussion this with a girl. She said that like Polynesian women, they're like their own biggest critics are other Polynesian women.
100%. Yeah. And I think, like just getting into health a little bit more and healthy lifestyles. I think being a skinny Samoan has always been something that I try to tiptoe around, if that makes sense, because I don't ever want, because society, right? We are taught to think that skinny, healthy, skinny is what you should be. And I personally don't even stand for that. I think that, all women are beautiful and that you should love yourself at every size that you are, whether you're on a journey to lose weight, a journey to even gain weight and build muscle, whatever it may be. But feeling like, because I love empowering women, I really do. It's another one of my passions. I even started another group called Mission My Empowerment, specifically to empower women. And I feel like I've just tried not to ever come into a room or come to a group where they may feel like I think that I'm better than them or think, but I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like that's also been one of my experiences, is that a lot of people may judge me based off of how I look, or because I went to school, or because of all these other things that I've accomplished. And again, acknowledging my privileges to my own life, and that just being hard to like connect with people, because if they immediately close you off, then you can't help them in the way that you want to help them. And it's hard when you really do want to help people, Yeah. And that's not even just with Polynesian women, but with as an entrepreneur. So I'm Samoan, but I want to say 80% of my class is Tongan. And there is a good chunk that are also Samoan, but also speaking on behalf of my stepdad, who's a barbershop. He owns a barbershop in South City. He's owned it for over 10 years now. And he was one of the first Samoan-owned businesses in the Bay Area. And most of his clientele wasn't even Samoan. So it's difficult. And I don't know what is broken in our culture that leads us not to support each other as much as we can when it comes to businesses. And I don't know if it's just the mentality of, oh, you're my family, I should get a discount, or if it
should be free.
Yeah. So that's just something that, my stepdad and I have talked about a lot too, is just me being a young entrepreneur, just to kind of prepare myself for people that support you and people that don't support you.
Yeah, so I want to go into that since we're on this topic. I want people to know about your business. I want people to I know you kind of went over a little bit, but I kind of just want to have you talk about your business, why you started it. Also, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to start a business. I would love for you to share your entrepreneur journey. But I'm starting that journey right now for myself, especially what I'm trying to do right now for my life. But I wanted to talk about, like, especially in the beginning, that's the hardest, right? The beginning, when you first start out. to get the momentum going. So I know a lot of people, and a lot of Polynesians, I know that can be the one to make change, they want to start a business, and I want to empower them to start their business, to work towards their goals and dreams, because I always tell this to people, there's a different type of fulfillment when you do something you love, when you live a life you love, right? When you live, and I can't tell you how that feels until you experience it. Of course, we all experience happiness, we all experience joy, but there's a different level of joy and fulfillment, happiness, when you truly live a life that you create, that you love, that you're passionate about. When everything you do in your life is something you want to do. So that's what I love about entrepreneurship and working towards the goals and dreams. And that's why I encourage anybody to do that, because from my own personal experience, everybody knows this, that when you work on a job, you have to push yourself. Gotta go to work. Gotta go to work. But when you live a life that you're passionate about, you're never gonna get that feeling. Of course, you do get physically exhausted and tired.
Where you're tired.
Yeah, you're tired. But as far as like the fire, the passion, you don't have to find like external motivation to do what you do. It's all internal. So so I love that about you. So can you share that, your journey of starting your own business? You're starting the Fitness is Key. What gets you up in the morning? What's that fire, and what you love about making a difference? I feel like a lot of people need to hear that. And then of course I'm gonna definitely post the information about your business on the bottom of this YouTube channel. So that way people can find out more about you, and I'll make sure you tag all your social media profiles so people can follow you. Definitely support and follow her. And also just let you guys know there is no discount, and there is no discount. You have to get the full price like everybody else. But I'll let you talk about that.
All right. So I still would consider myself pretty early on in my entrepreneurial journey. This is actually not even supposed to be, or planning to be my main career. I'm in school right now for chiropractic. So my ultimate goal is to become a doctor, to become a chiropractor. The fitness thing was actually, so I'm just gonna go all the way back, just how it all started.
Yeah.
The full story. So when I was in high school, I would host like free community workouts with my stepdad. He always made us kids, 'cause we all play sports. We would work out before school, we'd work out after school. We're always working out. That's kind of how we spent quality time. So it started off by like us inviting some of our teammates to come work out, some of our cousins. And then eventually we just wanted to host community workouts for mainly the Polynesian culture, because we know that health and fitness is something that we lack. So kind of having this family twist, it's easier for us Polynesians to want to come to something like that, knowing that it's family run. We're so deeply rooted in family. Let's go to this family workout, So when I was in law school, I was looking for a side hustle when I was in New York. And because I loved working out so much, I became a fitness instructor out there. When I moved home after leaving law school, I had no plan. And that was difficult for me, because I'm not one to just sit here and not be doing something.
Yeah.
So the minute I got home, my original plan was to travel. I was going to take 3 months, because I think I got home in November. So the holidays were going to hit. So there's no point in me traveling yet. So I was going to work for 3 months and then travel for 6. And I started working at a gym in Burlingame, ended up loving it. And then I ended up never traveling. But the idea of working for someone else has never really been something that I wanted. At the gym that I worked at, they wrote out our workouts, they wrote out our playlists, they wrote out things that we could say over the mic. And I felt like it wasn't really, me.
Yeah.
I also wasn't working with an audience that I could connect to. Burlingame, if you guys don't know, is like a little bit more affluent, a lot less diverse. So I think one time there was a Samoan guy that came in, and it was because he was my uncle. Like no one came into the class that actually looked like me. So I started doing personal training on the side. And that was really my segue into just completely leaving the gym and going on to doing my own thing. So fitness is key. That's kind of where it started, where I started getting my own clients. I had one friend that let me use his gym, which was like the size of like a closet. It was like a really small room, but it had equipment. And I just wanted my own space, no matter how big or small it was, something affordable where I can start doing my own thing. So that was where I started. I even would use, I have a friend that had an apartment gym, and I would like sneak in and use her keys to try to train clients there. Literally anything I could do just to take hours away from working at the gym and doing my own passion with fitness is key. So when it really took off, I'd say is just this last summer in 2020, I started my own class, specifically like a scheduled class called Power. And morning classes are are open to anyone, so men and women, and then Power or Power, which is obviously the twist, is the evening classes, which is only for women. And that was mainly just to create a space for women to feel comfortable working out, no matter how high or low their fitness level may be.
Yeah.
So I started that in July of 2020, and it really came at a good time because by then, like we were talking about with therapy and energy work, I was finally getting into the groove of things there. So I think me being a healthier woman helped me be a healthier and stronger leader when it came to classes. And obviously the energy you give out could be felt, you know? So I remember the first month I had maybe 5 people signed up. And now we're in January, and this month in a week, I was able to completely max out. So we're at capacity now for the class.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's about, I think I have like 25 people signed up. And that's just for packages. So I still have people doing drop-in classes.
Yeah.
So word caught pretty quickly. I think I didn't even have to do a lot of marketing. I think the class sold itself.
Yeah.
And I actually couldn't even do marketing for a while because of COVID. So basically all word of mouth is how people have heard about the class. So yeah, so it's been so fulfilling for me because I think in my life, I needed something like this to remind me that I don't need other people to fulfill my joy. So like when you said it earlier, just following your heart, doing what you love, it's just really an indescribable feeling
Yeah.
because for me, that's where a lot of my self-love came from, is seeing the impact that I have on other women, and knowing that like that was, from my work and my effort, like, damn, I could do this. It motivates you to want to not only do more within your career, but to make yourself better so that you can keep showing up for the people that need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I love what you shared about that, where you said that, the one thing that drives you, it makes you feel fulfillment in your own joy, that you don't need the validation or the support from other people. So what I want to ask you is, and I want to go deeper into the health, because you're the guru. Because I know when it comes to health, that's one of the areas as Polynesians we definitely need a lot of help. And the reason why I say that, because like for us, I know there's a lot of people dying from like chronic diseases in our Polynesian culture. And this is why I want to bring it up, just kind of add value. I want to make sure people, I want to pick your brain when it comes to health, so people get know more about it. So I want to ask you is, what are the when you teaching people that don't really have any knowledge about fitness, about health, what is like what are the things that you notice that about Polynesians or people in general that they didn't know about health? Because one thing I remember I was talking to somebody before that kind of started living a healthier lifestyle. She said that when she learned about health, she learned about the difference between food and nutrition. Polynesians, that we always see food is just food. We just eat whatever, you're full. but we never learn about nutrition, like what foods are good for you, the different things that you put in your body. And once she learned that, then she was able to kind of like adjust the way she ate and still be able to eat, to eat the things that she wanted to eat, but live a more healthy lifestyle. So what are the things you see when people come in and join your class that they had no idea about health and fitness, and then you kind of have to introduce that into their world and kind of break what they knew before? And then it doesn't have to be about food. It could just be about working out, about the physical part of the body.
I think what I noticed the most is that whether someone like, I guess, believing in themselves, confidence. So I think a lot of people, maybe they just had a baby or they haven't worked out in 10 years. Like I've had people come to me that really have not been active in a very long time. And they just have such a low confidence. I think what people don't realize is their own strength and really just their abilities. So no matter how long it's been taking that first step, whether it's working out, whether it's being conscious of what you're eating, like any step in the right direction is a good step. So that's actually probably the most rewarding thing about my job is seeing people's reactions when they finish, whether it's one workout, whether it's one exercise that they didn't think that they could do. Just this past week, we had a participant who is just starting out on her health and fitness journey. And we do like an end of the class burnout where everyone's clapping for each other and it's like final gas out, and we had the big battle ropes and you had to do jumping jacks with them. And I know I could see it on her face and her head that she really didn't think that she was going to be able to do it. But because of the environment she was in and everyone was just motivating her to do it, she finished all 10. She didn't modify it or anything. She like did it correctly. So for her, I know that was a really rewarding experience for her, is to be able to see that she is her biggest obstacle. Like a lot of people want to say, oh, I've gained so much weight, or oh, this, and like all these excuses. And if you just do it, you'll pleasantly surprise yourself. I think when it comes to just anything health and fitness and nutrition related, is really just doing it and then staying consistent. Is my biggest advice to anyone starting out their health and fitness goal or their journey.
I want to ask you, and because a lot of people don't realize, and what you said it the best. Like when you become healthier, it helps in your confidence and your self-esteem. A lot of people don't realize how much changing your body can definitely can affect how you feel as far as your confidence as a man or a woman. So I want to ask you is like, what does, when you work out for you in your own personal experience, because, when you started working out and being a trainer, what does it do? What does it do to your self-esteem? What does it do to you, self-esteem and your confidence as a woman, based on your own experience? Because I think I don't know, do you follow Tony, I've heard of, Tony Robbins. Ever heard of Tony Robbins? Yeah, the motivational speaker. Like that's one of the guys I like to consume his content. And then one thing that always stood out to me when I started listening to his content was like, he said that, I guess somebody asked him, I want to, if you were to give me one advice to change my life, like what would it be? That was the audience member asking Tony, and Tony said, "Oh, if I had to give you one advice to change your life," he said, "change your body." He said, if you can master your body, you can pretty much master everything in your life, because how you feel physically can definitely translate and correlates to how you feel spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. So I'm just interested to hear from you, because I feel like a lot of people think that, working out is just to look good physically. But to be honest, my younger days, that's why I did it. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to attract females. When you're younger, that's why we work out. Even if you can lie about it, but keep it 100. That's why we all worked out
Yeah,
when
you
we're
want to
younger.
Uh-huh.
You look good. But now I don't even, it's not for me working now. It's not even about the physical aspect. It's more of my mental health and just feeling healthy.
Mhm.
I feel good when I'm healthy. I have energy when I'm healthy. When I feel I less stressed. There's studies that shown that when you work out, you're less stressed. It takes away stress, especially when you work out. So for me, it's not even about the physical aspect of it. It's just the mental and emotional aspect. I feel emotionally, mentally better, healthier, working out. And then, and of course, just being fit is just the plus that comes with it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about it. Your own personal experience of working out and what does it do to you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's up to you. I want people to hear that because like people think this working out is just for the looks.
Yeah.
And
And exactly, that's not it. I think a lot of people think they also just correlate or they relate working out to losing weight. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, and when you have that mindset of losing weight, then there's an end goal. And when there's an end goal, that means you're done once you
yeah,
reach it, right?
yeah,
No, like
yeah,
working out is something that you should do at least a couple times a week. And I'm not saying you need to do some intense hit workout or CrossFit every day. It could be as minimal as on Saturday morning, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk around the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Because once your body is getting active, getting moving, sweating, it naturally releases endorphins, right? So it naturally makes you happy. Not just that, but when you get your blood flowing, you get it correlates to like getting more rest. Obviously, getting more rest means you're not going to be grumpy. You're again going to be happier, less stressed, like you said. When you work out, a lot of times, just mentally, I notice people who work out are less inclined to want to eat McDonald's or want to eat Jack in the Box because I just worked out. Why do I want to waste it on a meal that is just going to completely um, cancel out that whole hour I just put in, you know?
Yeah,
So there's all these different things that are connected to one simple activity. And again, I know I want to be empathetic to people who don't, I say simple because for me, I work out almost every day, right? That's a
yeah,
simple
yeah,
activity for me.
yeah,
But again, it doesn't need to be super hardcore. It could be a bike ride. It could be anything for you to get active and also to get in the right mindset of putting time aside for yourself. And I think I want to say I don't know if that's what he meant by it by the quote that if you get your body right, then everything else will kind of fall into place.
yeah,
But yeah, like because once you are able to prioritize your time and know that this 1 hour, this 30 minutes of working out is for me to feel good, for my health, for my own well-being. And then of course there's the other bonus of, now my boyfriend will think I look good too, or whatever the physical
yeah.
aspect of it is. Um, but solely for you, I think that's something that it really is life-changing. Like health and fitness, um, it adds on years to your life. You don't want to suffer from too many health issues at a young age, and a lot of our people do. And it's like if you made these smaller sacrifices of working out, and it's not even a sacrifice because I know a lot of people in my class now, they enjoy coming to class. Once you get over the hump of seeing working out as something um, difficult and look at it as something beneficial and look at it as something as a fun challenge or whatever it may be, perspective is huge, right? How you see something. um, then I think for a lot of people it does become a lifestyle change and not just a quick fix to whatever their weight loss goal is for that month.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to ask you because like I want people to definitely follow you, and I want people to more people to come that watching this to come to your class. So I want to hype you up a little bit. So what makes your class different from every? What makes it unique? Because apparently there's a reason why it's maxed out. That
Yeah.
means you're killing. You're on fire right now. If that's some water, I'll throw it on you right now.
um,
Splash. But
I
what makes it?
want to say what makes it unique. What makes it unique is the people that come, honestly. Like I love my class so much and they know that I have so much love for them. But it's it's ultimately just creating a space, at least for the Pow Her class, that
Mhm.
most women don't have. So I want to say a majority of the women in my class are mothers, or just women who have been caretakers. So coming to a class where they don't have to worry about anything else but enjoying themselves for that hour, it's it's therapeutic for them. And then I don't ever like make easy workouts. I purposely make it hard. And again, women realizing their own strength and maybe initially walking in, seeing the board, thinking, oh my God, Keanna's crazy. I'm not going to do 10 burpees. And then doing it, it's like, okay, yeah, so I'm going to come next week and I want to see what the next challenge is going to be. Um, so I'm big on, of course, modifying if you need to, if you have a bad knee or something like that. But pushing people to their limit to where they really see the growth.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, it's just overall just such an uplifting environment because everyone is cheering each other on. I make sure that everyone walks in knowing that we're a family and like a team dynamic. I want you to cheer on the person next to you. I want you, if you see the person next to you, they only did 5 push-ups, but they could do 8, tell them to do 3 more, because it builds a camaraderie and it makes women feel good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So definitely check out her class. Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a lot of videos on her page.
Mhm.
Um, the one thing I want to talk about, I want to ask you, because this is something I want to kind of break this mentality. Because a lot of people I always hear, especially when like you said, when people see you, uh, they might feel like, oh, this girl is better than me or whatever. Because I always hear a lot of people, if I get to this weight, if I get to this body, I'll be happy. And I love
Mhm.
what you said that you can't, when it comes to fitness, it can't be an end goal. It has to be like a lifestyle. Honestly, that's what it is. Like it has to be a way of life that you just practice every single day. And like you said, it's not gonna, if you're gonna lose any weight or gain any kind of progression, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna go work out one session with their fitness is key session, and tomorrow you're gonna be like lose all your weight. You're gonna have to
Exactly.
go into a lot of sessions. So I want to ask you is, even I know you're pretty healthy, you're pretty fit, and I know a lot of people always hear like they see somebody like you, okay, this girl she's perfect, she got the body, she probably doesn't have any insecurities, she probably doesn't have any doubts within herself. But
Mhm.
I always tell people, look, everybody has insecurities, everybody has flaws, everybody has doubts. You may see somebody that's on IG that's looks like a statue,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, not only from my own experience, don't think that okay, if I get this type of body, if I look like this person, then all my insecurities will go away.
Yeah, if I look like
Um,
then I'll be happy.
yeah,
No.
exactly. So I want to hear from you. If you don't mind opening up a little bit into what insecurities that you have for yourself,
Mhm.
to let people know. But and I loved how you said it before. You said it's an ongoing journey. Like
Yeah.
you're constantly just working on yourself every single day. It never stops. Honestly, you're constantly working yourself, and I think that's one thing that people don't see. Is like they see the Keanna now, but they don't see the old Ken, who used to be before, and what you
Yeah.
and the process and the journey that led up to who you are, being the powerful, empowering woman you are today. So
Mhm.
I just want you to, if you don't mind sharing that, so I want people to get out their head, stop trying to look like this person, stop trying to
Yeah.
get this perfect body. Just work out to be healthy and work out to feel good. I think that's the thing. Just feel good about yourself
Mhm.
and just be happy about yourself. To look in the mirror and look, oh wow, I feel good. I feel happy. I see progress, and that's where the fulfillment comes. And I don't want, because that's something I want people to hear, because that's what stops. I feel like that's what stops most people is insecurity. They go to the gym and they see everybody. Oh wow, oh wow,
Mhm.
everybody looks like this. I'm the only one that's kind of, I haven't worked out in years.
Mhm.
I feel uncomfortable going in there and working out. And that's why I love what you share. Like you have your tight knit family. So it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in right now, you
No.
know,
No.
just go in there and those people will show you a love and support and just go in and start your journey.
Mhm.
But I want to, if you don't mind, if you want to share like the insecurities you have and that you currently still work on to this day.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, first thing about all my physical insecurities, of insecurities. Um, but I think you were talking about it a little bit right now too, and I also saw something recently on Instagram, and it was about comparing, and it said that it said you should never compare because what you're doing is ultimately when you compare yourself to someone else, then you're hoping that you're higher than them, and if that is what brings you happiness, then you'll never be happy,
Mhm.
which is so true.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we live in a generation where social media just it's literally at our hands. We have access to all these different pictures. As a young woman, constantly looking at girls that, are in their bikinis and, all this other stuff and um editing pictures too. And it's hard
Yeah.
when it's constantly thrown at you, right? This stereotypical um definition of beauty and what it means to um, kind of be happy too. I think a lot of people think that, oh, if I'm beautiful, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
But that's also like, I mean, it's true, but the definition of beauty isn't true.
I feel
Because
like
it's
like
true in that, like, if I think I'm beautiful, it is more likely that I'm going to be happy because I'm loving myself. But that doesn't mean that I need to be skinny or I need to be fair skinned or I need to be, I can have these other attributes that make me so beautiful that don't align with how other people would perceive it or how
Mhm.
they, yeah, how we've been taught. Um, insecurities as far as like your career and academics go. I feel like insecurities are ultimately just like fear, right? Fear of not being enough. So when it comes to being a young girl, unfortunately marriage is big for a lot of young women, and the need to find a man and to be whatever his his goddess is or whatever you're supposed to think, right, to fulfill your partner's satisfactions, I guess. I don't even know how to explain it, but that's really hard on myself and a lot of other women. um, and then I think for me, another insecurity that I'm dealing with at my current age is figuring it out. Whatever my career or my life is going to be, just this constant stress of is someone else doing better than I am financially? Is someone else uh, are they getting job offers that I'm not getting? Are
Mhm.
they yeah. So I mean, there's standards that you want to meet that um, having other people around you helps with, right? Because you're able to
Mhm.
push yourself towards a certain goal. But
Mhm.
I do think that comparing and insecurities and fear ultimately just bring you down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Um, I'm interested to hear like when you the people that come to your gym, right? The clients, when you have those conversations with people, what's usually their inspiration to change or to work out? Is it more mental? Is it more physical? Like, I'm just interested to hear that
Yeah.
feedback.
I want to say almost 100% of the people that either work with me or that I've talked to that are on, health and fitness journey, their motivation is physical. I want
Yeah,
to look a certain way.
yeah,
And it's the ones that do stay consistent that realize the benefits of everything else when it comes to the emotional, the mental benefits of working out and being healthy. And I I could slam it and tell them as many times as I want that, it's not just about the physical, but really not until they actually experience the other benefits do they actually believe in that. And it's not enough of a motivation for them to stay consistent. So, I mean, if the physical aspect is what it has to be to actually motivate people, then I'm
yeah.
here for it. Yeah, just anything to uh, get you motivated,
Started.
you
Yeah.
active.
Okay. I want to ask you is when you how much because I know you said like you do a lot of physical work. But how much for your personal life? How much focus because I love your mindset. I love how the journey that you've gone through, because I know it kind of molded you who you are today.
Mhm.
How much attention do you put on your mental and emotional health as much as you do your physical health? Because I feel like a lot of people, they focus on their physical health, but they don't realize how important it is to focus on your emotional mental health as much as you put on your physical health. Because I always see a lot of people and they go work out. Usually, they work out because like you said, they trying to attain a specific body. A lot of people are just heartbroken, trying to prove that X, trying to
That revenge body. Oh,
that revenge body.
the
I,
revenge.
I remember I saw somebody posted on social media. I was dying when I heard it. It was like, please somebody break my heart so I can start working out again.
Yeah, that's so true.
I was like,
Um,
oh man, that was
yeah.
so funny. But and that one thing I do see a lot of people, and I'm just curious of what you see too, because you go around a lot of people. Like a lot of people work out and focus all their attention on their physical health, but they never put any attention to their mental and emotional health. Where it doesn't matter how great their body looks, but if you don't fix those things that you do mentally or emotionally, then regardless of, you can look like an IG model and feel like, and
Yeah.
everybody thinks you're perfect, but then inside you're not.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you your opinion, like, how much focus you put on your emotional health? Did you always put a lot of focus on your mental, emotional in the beginning? Was it more like, okay, was it more physical in the beginning when you started your journey, and then you realized, oh wow, I need to balance this out. I need to move. So I'm just interested to hear that perspective from you, because I feel like a lot of people need to hear that.
Yeah, no,
Why?
that's a really good question, actually. I'm excited that we're talking about it. Um, so yeah, so again, my emotional health really wasn't a priority to me um, until more recently. And kind of going back to what you just said right now. So I created my fitness page maybe 2 years ago now. And there was a time where I was like still kind of slowly getting followers. And then there was a time where like I did start gaining a little bit more popularity.
Mhm.
Um, and I definitely think that it started getting to my head a little bit, seeing other fitness influencers who really sexualized their career. Uh, Again, Instagram models who have to
Yeah,
show their butt every time,
yeah,
and I honestly like felt the pressure, like, okay, well, if I need to gain this following, um, that's kind of what I had to do too. So uh, I think it was a huge turning point when my family and my boyfriend had talked to me about um, staying true to myself. Because in that moment, I didn't even realize that I was losing myself because I just thought, oh, this is what I'm doing now. I'm doing fitness. This is what, my page is supposed to look like. Um, I need to keep working out so that I can stay in shape, so that I can keep up with my fitness page. So when I post, you know, I can motivate others by having the ideal body that they would want. Um, so that was uh, big turning point where I had to realize that not only culturally were we raised to be modest, but also for me personally, I was never really that type of girl that wanted a lot of attention, especially for like physical.
mhm.
As far as academics and sports went, like I loved the recognition, but when it came to stuff like that, that wasn't really who I was. So having people in my circle remind me that I need to be genuine and stop and not to lose myself, because it's so easy to lose yourself in social media,
Mhm.
um, is something I'm so grateful for. Um, but that also just goes back to this idea of like validation, and like your question was about physical versus emotional and mental. I think it's so easy for people to focus on their physical health because of the validation that they get from others. The minute
Yeah,
you start losing weight, or the minute you start gaining, you know, uh,
likes.
muscles, yeah, and likes, then
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I'm doing something right. Like, let me keep doing that. So it's easy to put off the mental and the emotional because no one sees that. Like, that's all self work.
yeah,
What I've realized now that I've started doing it is that you actually end up getting more likes when you do also take care of your mental and emotional, because you're a happier person, you're a kinder person. You having that positive energy like just naturally spreads to other people and they can feel it.
Mhm.
So you should do it. My stepdad always says that you should do it for your life, not for your likes. um, I hate that I'm saying that right now, but he's very true when it comes to stuff like that. Is that the healthier and the happier you are, the healthier and happier the people around you will be. So I think that answers your question. Sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent about all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's something I'll always want to encourage people. That, make sure you find a balance. Everybody's different. Everybody. I can't tell you how you want to do it for yourself. Everybody's different, but I feel like. But one thing I do know is like happiness starts within.
Mhm.
And I know, and I can feel what you said, especially in this culture we live in, where it's all physical now. It's all superficial now.
Very.
Nobody cares about your mental well-being. Nobody cares about your feelings no more, of who you are on the inside. Everybody just focuses on, especially social media. Like social media, everything just focus on the outside. So that becomes our culture now.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of women and men fall for that too. And they get attraction. They start getting results. They start getting physically healthier or fit. They start attracting people, especially if you're in a place in your life that you're not happy, and the first amount of attraction you get from certain people, then that becomes addictive.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come up to you, hey man, your personality is so great.
Have you been going to therapy?
Oh my god. I noticed your personality is getting better. Like, my
Yeah.
name is Will. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
That's never. Hopefully that happens one day. I've never seen that, but I've never seen that before. Usually everything starts with the physical part, and then that becomes our culture now, and everybody falls into that. But that's why I wanted to spend time with it. Spend time on this topic, because I feel like a lot of people need to focus on the emotional, mental part, and also invest time into the physical part. But once you find that, once you're happy, like I said, when you're happy of who you're on the outside, and then who you're on the inside, that's, like I said, that's a different level of happiness and fulfillment that you get, and peace and joy.
You did it the opposite way. If you start off happy with yourself internally, then it's easier to fix the physical as opposed
Exactly.
to
Oh, I was just about to say that, and you beat me to it. I would say, yeah. I always say, if you fix who you are on the inside, then everything on the outside is going to be fixed as well. But a lot of people, they do the opposite. They try to fix everything on the outside and nothing on the inside, and they wonder why nothing ever changes, and all the cycles keeps repeating over and over and over. So that's something I just want to put out there, because culturally, usually every culture, we're always taught everything starts from the outside. Women should look like this, should have fair skin, like all these things that we, like you said, like I forgot what you said in the beginning, but is it sexism? Was it in the beginning of your story? You talked about that, yeah. But just I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy. That's the thing. And I love what you said. Like, a lot of people seek. I was writing notes. I got some hella good quotes from you. Got this fire right here. I love what you said. A lot of people. I wrote it down. A lot of people try to seek being beautiful to be happy. But I feel like if you seek happiness, you become beautiful. Like, I feel like when you seek happiness, the byproduct is you feel beautiful. But if you try to, I don't feel like, but if you try to seek being beautiful, usually if you try to all you care about is looking good, then you don't get happiness from trying to seek beauty. So I wrote that down. That's the original Keanna quote. I said it first. All right. So for you, I want to ask you as well, because I'm interested to hear this. I know when people are different, when people shine your light, I love your light, you're shining right now. There's always going to be criticism, judgment, and hate. So I'm just interested to hear the type of criticism you get. And I just want to hear that. And what do you when you first started? I can only imagine all the, especially with the culture and all the things you went through. But I'm interested to hear, what kind of criticism do you see? What do you hear from people that don't understand you, don't understand your intentions of why you live your life? But I'm just interested in the feedback that you get
Mhm.
from your community, from your culture, from your family. Yeah,
Good question.
yeah.
Um, as far as criticism goes, I feel like we talked about it before too, where like I've always been such a perfectionist and I really
Hmm.
like being, the stereotypical good girl, not really causing any problems. It's really caused me to be like a people pleaser. So
Yeah,
a lot of times I'll kind of do what other people would want me to do. Not that I was being a follower, but doing things that I knew would make people proud of me. Um, and even in that, I kind of lost myself. So I guess taking criticism, um, yeah, essentially made me do things that didn't always make me happy. And it all caught up to me. And that was another big reason why 2020 was a year for me to focus on myself and to figure out what I wanted and where I wanted to be in my own life. Um, I want to say the first real time that I ever had to take harsh criticism was when I left law school and then became a personal trainer. My grandpa was
oh
a
yeah, that's
yeah,
big
my
change right there.
it really wasn't until I've been training for about 2 years now, and it wasn't until more recently I bought myself a car this last year, and I remember my grandpa was like, "So did your mom co-sign for it?" And I was like, "No, I co-signed. Like I didn't need a co-signer."
Yeah.
And he, well, like how'd you pay for it? Like I saved up my own money and put a down payment down, and
Yeah.
like these things, and um, it was really hard for him to understand that because he thought that the minute I left law school, I was just gonna be like a bum.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Life is over. Yeah. Disappointment. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the rest of my family and even him, I think he knew that I was gonna be okay. Like from my history, I always got good grades. I was always fine. So me making this one decision wasn't gonna be the end of the world. But
Yeah.
I think he worry about stability, right? That's what all of our parents and grandparents worry about when it
Hmm.
comes to our jobs. So more recently, when he did see that I was able to support myself, able to bring groceries by the house, and things where I'm able to help them out too. Um, it wasn't until then that he realized that, maybe following your heart and doing something you love can also bring in some money as well.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think initially I was scared, really scared to tell my grandpa that I was leaving school, um, because I knew it was something that made him really proud. So he didn't even go to my undergraduate graduation in Santa Barbara, and he said, uh, "It's fine. I'll just go to your law school graduation." Like stuff like that that kind of
Yeah.
sticks with you and
Yeah.
adds pressure. Yeah, but he's happy now, so that's all that matters. But even if he wasn't happy, it shouldn't matter, as long as he's
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So for you is because I do want to encourage people to like make that step of doing things that they're happy doing. So I'm interested, like, was it one day we were just in law school and you know what, I'm just gonna be a fitness. I want to go into fitness. Uh, so I'm just interested in, like, how that process and what was going through
Transition.
your mind.
Yeah.
Was it just one day you woke up and like, I don't think it was like that, but a lot
Mhm.
of people, but I know there's a lot of things that go through our mind, especially when it comes to Polynesian. It's kind of going the opposite route. For me, I'm always gonna be a big advocate of happiness. That's always gonna be me. So I'm always gonna support anybody living their own life and going against. I don't care if you go against the whole world, by yourself in your corner. But if you're happy doing what you're doing, I'm a big advocate for that. So I do want to encourage Polynesians to start, do what they feel like they want to do in their heart. So I just want to kind of talk about that. But I want to ask you your own. I'm interested to see that process of, did you just wake up, I'm gonna start doing it, or was it like many weeks of just kind of thinking about it, about how I'm gonna do this, how I'm
Yeah.
gonna do my family. So I'm just interested to hear that part.
Yeah, so, when I was so, the way it worked is, so I was supposed to finish out my undergraduate in, spring of 2018, but, I was able to finish early in December, and I also got accepted to a law school program in New York that started in January. So normally school
Yeah.
starts in the fall, This was an accelerated honors program. So instead of it being 3 years, it was condensed to 2 years, and it started in January. So I literally graduated undergraduate in California, Santa Barbara, which is like the most stereotypical California, like, right?
Yep.
Beach town,
Yep.
all that stuff. Within 3 weeks, I'd moved to New York, which was, hustle and bustle, taking the subway everywhere. So it was a completely different change.
Mhm.
So when I was in my first semester, I was really unhappy, and I thought that, maybe it was just the change, right? I've never
You change. Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't want to quit too early. So I gave myself a semester. Went into my second semester, still not happy. Then it
Yeah.
was my third semester, so it was about a year in. And it took a lot of digging and realizing, because I felt like I was already halfway done. I might as well just finish out.
Mm.
But it wasn't me. It didn't align with what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to law school and be an attorney to help people, learning more about the system. For me, I felt like I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And it was just mainly the constraints of the system and kind of honestly how corrupt it is. And yeah, so I just felt like, why am I even wasting my time? Because then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'll finish law school, but I'm just not going to take the bar exam.
Yeah.
So then again, I'm just wasting a year, and I'm wasting all this money.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I decided to finally leave, by that point I was just fed up. There wasn't anything crazy that happened.
Yeah.
Everything was
Yeah.
just like
Fed
wear
up. Yeah.
and tear. Yeah. So when I moved back home, uh, the only thing I was doing in New York was fitness instructing for like a group class. So I think I even got a job before I even flew back home, because again, I don't like not doing anything. Um, so I think when it first started, my grandpa just thought that was something that was going to hold me over until whatever career I decided to have. Um, but yeah, I mean, it really is something that I love and enjoy. And even now, like, I'm in school to be a chiropractor. I'm about 2 years out before I graduate. I have people in my classes now asking me if I'm going to stop training once I become a chiropractor. And even then, I don't think I am.
Yeah.
I'm probably not, actually. So, I mean, first, you should never have one stream of income. So it helps that I have two passions, which is chiropractic and fitness, and being able to do both is like the ideal life for me. Because I'm able to not only support myself, but I also learned this from my stepdad. He's a barber and a football coach, and he does everything. He does basically his entire day, his full 24 hours is never doing anything he doesn't want to do, whether it's spending time with family, at the barber shop, coaching, or with his friends riding bikes, working out, and that's the kind of life that I want to have. Is I don't ever want to feel like my time is being wasted doing something that doesn't bring joy to me. So that's what my goal is right now as far as a career goes. Yeah.
I know that's one of the hardest things, especially for kids growing up in the culture, especially for Polynesians. It's kind of like taking, working towards something you really love and passionate about. Because if you grow up in any Polynesian culture, like usually that's the ultimate goal is to graduate, go to
Mhm.
school, graduate. That's like
All the ways
uh,
for graduations.
exactly. And I had this conversation daily with my cousins and my nieces and my nephews. They're kind of younger, and they always ask me, man, like, no, I love what you're doing. You just left, and I can't do it. I always tell people all the time, it's all about just seeing your time. Like, are you really gonna do something you don't enjoy doing? That's one thing I always tell people, like, that are kind of afraid to tell their parents or their family. Because
Mhm.
one thing I realized about the culture, especially when it comes to like traditional cultural families, is like uh, their definition of success is graduating. That's their only definition of success. But as you know, in America, success, you can succeed in anything. You don't need a college. If you have a college degree and you're succeeding, hey, great, do you? But there's not one avenue or path to success. You don't need a college degree to be successful. You can be an entrepreneur. You can start a business. You can do what you love. and passionate about. So I always want to encourage people out there to do what they love. And the great thing about school, you can always go back. That's the way I always tell my nieces. Look, the great thing about school, you can always go back. You can always go back and do it, right? So like, why not try and work on your dream and work on the business or do what you would love to do? Because if it works out, great. It works out. And if it doesn't work out, then you can always go back to school. That's the way I see it. So that way it kind of gives people comfortability to try and not be. Sometimes people are just afraid, oh, it doesn't work out, it's over. No, that's the great thing about school. The education system is always going to be there. But if you have an opportunity to try something, great. That'd be cool. So the one thing I want to ask you is like, after you've gone through everything now, because I know there are times that, especially anybody's life journey, that we all, no matter how great, as how far we come far in life, there's always going to be bumps in the road. So I want to ask you, as of right now, when you go through your struggles, when you go through your tough times in your life, like what do you do specifically? Right now, like when you, because I know sometimes if you get tough, you lose, it's not always sunshine.
Yeah.
But but you're a different woman now. You're healthier mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're a lot stronger than before. So your ways of coping and dealing with stuff is a lot different. I'm just interested to hear that for everyone. So when we go through hard times, like how do you deal with it now?
Yeah. The first thing I try and do, because I've struggled so much before, is identify the emotion that I'm feeling. And like allowing myself the time and the space to actually feel whatever the emotion is, so that I can figure out what is causing this emotion. So that's one of the first things I do. And I usually do that through journaling. If I have my journal on me, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes, you go through some stuff and you don't have stuff available. But another thing I do now is I try and like speak out loud, and whether that be speaking to God or speaking to a close friend that I know, again, is someone that has my best interest in mind, or a family member. I think just talking stuff out and not necessarily always looking for advice, because I know that is another issue or another thing that can be problematic when people confide in you, but just to literally say something out loud and having someone listen. I think that helps me sort through whatever I'm going through. And then in addition, I see a therapist once a month. It used to be once a week, and then it kind of progressively got less and less. I was able to become more independent when it came to healing myself. So yeah, I think those are the healthiest ways that I've tried to learn how to handle. Don't get me wrong, there's some days where like all that is out the door and I'm just like, angry or whatever it may be. But yeah, I think trying to create a process for myself, like a routine.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier, and it goes so much faster. Now I look back at times that I was struggling and I'm like, why was I struggling for so long, when you kind of just learn to pick yourself up a lot quicker once you have a process down.
Yeah. No, I wanted to ask that question because I wanted to compare from like how you used to deal with before when you shared early, and just want to see the big difference, and the big difference of how you come. So I wanted to, that's kind of cool. Like when you first shared how you deal with problems before in the beginning of your life, and then now who you are today, it's like way better, big difference. So I just wanted to see that. It's kind of, I think that's beautiful and powerful as well.
Young Keanna and Keanna now would have talked to each other. Young Keanna would have laughed at new Keanna. Like,
we got blocked. Blocked on Instagram.
Yeah. But no, I'm very proud of the progress I've made and excited to know where the next Keanna is. So
so we went through a lot. We talked about your whole life story. Man, like you talked about a lot of great things, and I know everybody out there is watching. I know for a fact a lot of things that you shared, definitely a lot of people, I know for a fact a lot of people go through. So I think we've come to the end, and feel like it went by so fast.
No. Yeah, definitely did.
First and foremost, I want to say, thank you. Very grateful for you for taking the time to do this, and also just having the courage to speak about your life story and just shedding light on a lot of things that a lot of people may not want to share, but people don't realize how much courage and strength it takes to open yourself up. And I really appreciate you for doing this, and I really thank you for speaking up and having the courage to do this. So much love to you. But I always want to ask everybody that's on my podcast at the very end, just to end up the podcast, to share some final thoughts to everybody, little advice, whatever's going through your mind right now, whatever you feel. You already know there's a lot of people that's watching this. And like I said, if you're watching this, please follow, support her. I'm going to make sure all her information is on the bottom of this video. So make sure you click on her and go follow her. But just whatever you feel right now, everybody's watching you. There's still awake, just made it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Much love to you. If you're still watching it all the way to the end, but just some one piece of advice, some final thoughts for everybody that's watching.
One piece of advice that I could give is probably just to stay true to who you are. I think it's so easy with the society that we live in to try and conform ourselves when that's not the case. Society should be conforming. We shouldn't be conforming. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the more genuine you are, ultimately the happier you'll be, because I think that's just ultimately, like, if I could sum it up, I have so much advice that I would want to give people, but if I had to say one thing, just stay true to who you are.
You should. I don't know if anybody told you this, but I think you should write a book. I think you should.
I should.
I think you should. I think you should. One day, when that time comes.
Yeah. Now that you bring it up, no one's ever told me that, so that's a first. So I'm just saying that. No.
Well, if you do write that book, just put my name on there. Shout out. That's all I want.
Yeah, I'll put a little.
Yeah, but that's definitely. Yeah, I think not only who you are and I know you empower people. I know definitely people want to read your story. So put it out there. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much again. Appreciate you taking the time to do this.
I really appreciate this platform. Seriously, I think it's dope what you're doing for the Polynesian community, for the entire world, because it's not just the Polynesian community listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because a lot of the things we go through, everybody goes through the same thing. So.
It's easier to relate to someone that looks like you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, guys, thank you for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna press I'm gonna turn off the recording button. I'm gonna talk to you right after. Give me one second. All right.